Neal for Pursuit Physical Therapy. And so what I wanted to show for my patients, and for those of you at home, how to do an active release of the shoulder. We're going to do the glenohumeral joint, and this applies really to several joints, but this is one way to do the shoulder joint, and we'll show both directions, forward and backward. The most important aspects of doing this are typically rotation, internal and external rotation, but we're going to show flexion first because flexion is the most important motion to get back in a frozen shoulder situation, and a lot of people face that situation. So we're going to start with flexion. We've already done our other articulations. We've already been doing our range of motion, and even though it's limited, so let's say that our flexion, or our ability to lift our arm up in that fashion, is limited. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to your range, the end range of motion, and let's say that I can only lift my arm up off the table. I only want to be able to lift my arm up off the table, say, an inch. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start. I'm going to press down into the table. So this is what's known as I'm going to try to push into extension, or I'm extending my arm, taking it towards the back. So the motion would be like that. I'm going to push down with start with 20, then go to 40, then go to maybe 60%, somewhere in the 40 to 60% range. I'm pushing down, I'm holding that for about 15 seconds. And so I'm getting closer. Okay, so I'm going to give myself the 3, 2, 1, and at the end of my pushing down, at the 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up as hard as I can while not changing the orientation of my body, so that again, I can only lift up about yay far. So here I am, I'm pressing 3, 2, 1, reverse. And then I do this for about 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, I'm pushing up with everything I've got. 2, 1, relax. I take advantage of my new range of motion. Okay, say I got that much. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I just take up what I can. Okay, again, I can only lift up my arm that much. So again, I'm going to push down. I'm going to slowly ramp myself up to about 40 to 60% of my power. Okay, I'm going to hold that for about 15 seconds. Then I'm going to give myself a countdown. And then I'm going to lift up as hard as I can. So I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1, reverse. I'm lifting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, and go down. And you'll notice that now maybe you don't get a whole lot of change in range of motion. That's okay. You have to keep doing this because what you're doing is you're affecting the capsule of the joint. And since it's adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder, that's exactly the structure we want to go to. You have to use big pressures or higher pressures, whatever you can sustain, in order to affect that tissue. We can't grow that tissue or make that tissue change if we don't give it information in a fashion that it can A, sense, and B, respond to. And that information is force. Okay, so let's show an extension. If say a person can't get their arm behind their back, which is one of the big problems with frozen shoulder. Again, I would go to wherever I had range of motion, and then and check my ability to lift off. Okay, so my ability to lift off may only be a little bit, and I only want a little bit of motion. Again, so I can barely lift off with that. Okay, so I'm going to push forward, slowly ramping that up until I hit about 40 to 60%. I start my countdown of 15 seconds. Okay, so I'm pushing. I keep myself stabilized here and in my hips. You have to engage the abdominals here, so this is a full body exercise. I'm pushing that direction with 40%, trying not to move. And when I lift my arm off, I'm going to lift maximally backwards without moving any other part of my body. 3, 2, 1, push. Now maybe my arm doesn't go anywhere, but I keep pushing as hard as I can for 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Come forward into the range of motion that I've just gained. And I keep progressing that. And you can do this several times, especially when you're doing it about 40 to 60%, somewhere in the range of 8 to 12 repetitions of doing that. So why don't you start there? Ideally, you would do this a couple of times a day, morning and night, and especially before or after a workout, anything like that to maximize and maintain your range of motion.